Tribe 9 is an action RPG with its story told in the style of a visual novel and the map exploration akin to old school JRPGs. With around 60 hours in game, I thought I'd give my late impressions and brief overview, but TLDR, I think it's great. The story is fun and interesting, featuring an amnesiac MC, how original, participating in some death games in our setting, Neo Tokyo, which is ruled by an overpowered teddy bear. I won't harp on it much, but it is definitely one of the game's strongest points that I'm looking forward to further unveil. The characters are tropey but very expressive and each interesting in their own regard. For those that don't know, this is a continuing franchise with an anime, but the anime is entirely optional and can be treated as a prequel to the game rather than part 1 of the overall story. The game's traversal and how you access content is through the overworld, which is 2D, old school, and looks very good. It's refreshing to see this approach rather than using the 3D models in a 3D world. It feels much easier to traverse and just oozes charm, like each character in your party has a unique sprite, and their skins also reflect on these 2D sprites as well. It's got a collectible system through the graffiti you find hidden or not so hidden, and dig through trash or fight some enemies for upgrade materials. Tribe 9's combat is action-oriented that is more methodical than it is flashy. Compared to something like Zenless Zone Zero where you're fighting timers and no boss ever really feels challenging, Tribe is actually quite punishing. Getting hit hurts a lot, but attacks can all be either parried or dodged, and it feels very rewarding for learning a boss fight. Characters can fill different roles like DPS, tank, or support, each having basic attacks, heavy attacks, specials, and usually a unique mechanic revolving around their strategy skills. Enemies have a well-hidden break meter that, when broken, allows you to perform a chain attack with your team that will then fill up your tension gauge. The tension gauge is used for your special moves as well as activating passives of your tension cards, which are like FGO craft essences or Honkai Star Rail light cones. The interesting bit about the tension system is utilizing it for bursts of damage off specials or to hold your tension to keep all of your passives up. This will be getting changed up soon, but it was definitely a fun and different approach. All characters so far are also viable, especially the free ones, like the protagonist Yo, which are usually trash, is actually a fantastic all-arounder, and still probably my best character. He can put out great damage, provide consistent healing, and one of the best breakers in the game. Another example being Roku, a free tank that can help completely ignore boss mechanics if you're having a rough time fighting them normally. Teams are built with 3 units and 5 tension cards. Characters have different upgradable passives which can be reallocated at any time. Are equipped with 3 different pieces of gear with set bonuses. This gear can't be upgraded though, so the gear grind stops currently at finding a couple good substats. Characters can be duped, although definitely not necessary. And with tension cards, it'll show you what tension level I need to be at to start receiving its passive. Currently the big meta is primarily using 0 level tension cards, as these don't drain the gauge and are easily accessible, being the lowest rarity. In fact, in its current state before we see the rework, the highest rarity 3-star cards in most cases are actually really terrible. There's also Extreme Baseball, or XB as the game calls it, that you will have to do during certain story points and can fight other players' ghost teams online. Honestly, it's pretty meh, but from what I can tell, it's just a stat check on your team with minimal decision making. But it is flashy, fun the first few times you do it in the story. The gacha system, you have the limited time banners like the Hoyo games and a standard banner. You can pull 1 to 3 star, with 3 star being 2%, and the current rate up takes up 75% of that rate. So 3 and 4 chance is the rate up, with a pity system where if your 3-star pull isn't the featured rate up, it will be on your next 3-star. Hard pity is at 80, and the standard banner also has a selector at 300 pulls, which I no longer have, so that can't be seen here, much like Honkai Star Rail and I believe Zozoza as well. I'll end off on points I think need some work, which is the grind and endgame. The game can be grinded endlessly, and for people that don't know, the only stamina system in the game are boosters, which are used to farm rifts that give materials to upgrade your characters. These boosters can be dropped randomly off of enemies found in respawnable chests, given from the battle pass, and from doing your dailies. Random enemies on the overworld also respawn whenever you use one of the fast travel points, which leads to grinding as much as you want. This is a double-edged sword, as people with no life can go crazy, but people with less time, not as much. My approach has been do what you're comfortable with. Character upgrades are only necessary to a certain point, and it's pretty clear that not all of the methods of grinding these materials have been added yet, namely higher difficulty. And then endgame currently is just Fractal Vice, a dungeon that resets each week with a bunch of chests to grab. The chests have a chance of giving the highest rarity tier 8 gear, and enemies also have a chance just insanely low compared to the chests, which only reset every week. It's a neat mode, but there is definitely more down the pipeline, just not currently in-game yet. In conclusion, if you want an interesting anime story or challenging combat, I highly recommend Tribe 9. It's definitely a game-first, gacha-second type of game like Wizardry, Variance Daphne, if you're familiar with that. It's been so good it made me want to create content again, so if there's anything you'd like me to see me cover or any questions, make sure to let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, or don't. See ya.